These are creepy TikToks that will make you rethink your whole reality.
Put this, that since the universe is expanding at a constantly faster rate, there will get to be a point where the universe rips itself. This will cause planets, stars, and galaxies to be ripped to shreds. But on the bright side, scientists don't expect this to happen for a long time if it were to happen. The killer Richard Chase claimed several victims in his time of being a killer, but his methods were very odd. You see, Chase would be very polite with how he killed people. I know what you're saying, how can you be polite about that? You see, Chase would kill people after he broke into their house, but the only time he would break into their house was if the door was unlocked. And if it was, he would walk inside and handle his business. And when asked about this later on, Chase said he felt like it would be rude to break into someone's house that was locked.
I'm back, it's your boy Fittie, and today we're looking at this compilation together, so make sure to grab your water, your popcorn, whatever you want. Just remember to subscribe and like the video so it gets pushed to more people. If you like this chain, check my link down below.
These are some extremely unsettling facts, and I found all of these on Reddit. Number 1, get some sleep. Does you or anybody that you know sleepwalk? Well, if they do, be careful around them. There's a phenomenon known as homicidal sleepwalking, and I guess you can probably piece together what that means. Homicidal sleepwalking is when people who sleepwalk commit murders. In 2005, a boy named Jules Lowe killed his father while he was sleepwalking. And here's the crazy part. Jules went to court because of this murder, and he was acquitted of the crime because he was asleep at the time. No charges at all. Number 2, a rip in time. And also, if you want your scary facts to be included in one of these videos, shoot me a DM over on Instagram. There's a cosmological theory that's known as the Big Rip. The most simple way to put this is that since the universe is expanding at a constantly faster rate, there will get to be a point where the universe rips itself. This will cause planets, stars, and galaxies to be ripped to shreds. But on the bright side, scientists don't expect this to happen for a long time if it were to happen. And finally, don't go to sleep. We all know who Freddy Krueger is, right? He was the main villain in the movie A Nightmare on Elm Street, for those of you who don't know. The premise of this movie was that you cannot go to sleep because Freddy will kill you in your dreams. But did you know this movie was loosely based on a true story? This was reported in the LA Times, and the story told of a young boy who was terrified to go to sleep. For days, he tried not to, but he finally did one day, and when he did, he woke up screaming about a nightmare, and then mysteriously, he died. Sounds pretty sketchy to me. And look, I know hearing these is never easy, but that's why.
That's honestly a really good way for people to just lie about murder. A guy was like, bro, I was just sleepwalking. That's how he ended up getting his head cut off, bro. That'd be crazy though. I really think people would do that too.
Anyone who may be triggered by these topics, or anyone who's faint of heart, please keep scrolling. Serial killers from every US state, part 16. Kansas. Dennis Lynn Rader, aka the BTK Killer. Dennis Lynn Rader is better known by his other name, the BTK Killer. The letters stand for bind, torture, kill, and that is exactly what he did. He killed 10 people in Wichita between 1974 and 1991. What made him particularly noteworthy is the cat and mouse game he played with the authorities. At each crime scene, he would leave a clue as to who he was. At one of the scenes, he left a letter telling the authorities he cannot stop killing and gave himself the initials BTK. Apparently, those clues were a little too good because Rader was eventually caught and is currently serving 10 life sentences in prison.
Bro try to be all fancy and cool. It's like, yeah, bro, I'm this cool killer just to get caught, bro. Come on. He could have played a Loki and not get caught, but that's a good thing he did get caught, though. We don't want people like that running around in our streets.
Disturbing conspiracy theories that just make sense, part 1. If you think about the words Disney and Frozen, you would probably think about the famous Disney movie featuring the two sisters Anna and Elsa. But what if that's exactly what Disney wants you to think about? For many years now, there have been rumors that Mr. Walt Disney actually had himself cryogenically frozen right before he passed away. While this has been disproven, some actually think that the movie Frozen was given its name so that when the words Disney and Frozen are googled together, only the popular 2013 movie comes up, and the creepy rumors about Walt are buried forever.
I don't know, that one was kind of weird. Do you believe that that was the reason why they made Frozen, was so that when this Disney guy gets frozen, we don't look him up and see him being frozen? I don't really think it even really matters like that, if I'm being honest.
This girl's mom went missing under mysterious circumstances, and she believes her dad had something to do with it. This is the case of Angela Green. On June 20th, 2019, in Prairie Village, Kansas, Ellie Green had just come back for summer break from her freshman year at college. Ellie and her mom Angela had a disagreement, and Ellie went to stay at a boyfriend's house till things cooled off. A few days later, her dad Jeff told Ellie that her mom had a mental breakdown while she was away and that Angela was taken to a mental institution. Jeff told Ellie that he didn't want her to see or talk to her mom until she was better. Ellie asked what hospital her mom was taken to, and her dad said he didn't know the name. Then, shockingly weeks later, Jeff told his daughter that Angela had passed from a stroke. As if this wasn't devastating enough for Ellie, Jeff then instructed her to not tell Angela's family, and they had no memorial service for her. Ellie kept it quiet for 8 months, but eventually couldn't ignore the overwhelming sense that something wasn't right, so she told her family and her cousin Michelle. The family also felt something was off, so they did some digging, and they find there is no record of Angela's passing in the state of Kansas.
Damn. Nah, if someone ever came up to me and was like, nah, don't worry about it, bro. They just passed away, bro. Don't tell anyone, and we're not gonna hold any memorial services, I'm gonna be instantly sussed. I'm like, nah, this dude gotta have something to do with it.
Alright, so Reddit user ShadowFox046 said, I worked as a funeral director assistant for about 10 years and had a scary incident happen to me at my home. I woke up one night needing to use the restroom, and my room was in the back of the house. There was a long hallway to the restroom, and I would usually walk in the dark since I've done it many times. This one instance though, as I began to walk in the hallway, it felt cold in the hallway, and then a rush of cold air hit me. I was surprised, and then I felt something swirl around my body, and it grabbed my neck and picked me up where I was trying to balance myself on my toes. I couldn't breathe or move, and then I heard growling, and in my right ear I heard it speaking in a god-awful voice. It told me something and I was terrified. I tried to recite the Our Father, but I couldn't speak and the words weren't coming to me. After the ghost/demon spoke to me, it let go and I fell to the floor. I was literally shaking and I wanted to scream to wake up other family members, but I didn't because they all had work and school the following day. That had to be one of my scariest ghost/demon experiences. Since I worked in the funeral industry, I asked many priests about the situation. The common theme was, it may have been demonic. The only consolation I had was watching demonic documentaries and other people sharing their stories of being paralyzed by fear or hearing growling voices, which helps to know that I am not alone.
Working in a funeral home is low-key kind of crazy because it's like you're around dead bodies all day. So honestly, what if one of their ghosts just awakens like, what the, why are you touching me? Slaps you in the top of your head like, what are you going to do, like, realistically?
These are some extremely unsettling facts, and you're not going to want to miss the last one. And I found all of these on Reddit. Number 1, lock your doors at night. Serial killer Richard Chase claims several victims in his time of being a killer, but his methods were very odd. You see, Chase would be very polite with how he killed people. I know what you're saying, how can you be polite about that? Right? You see, Chase would kill people after he broke into their house, but the only time he would break into their house was if the door was unlocked. And if it was, he would walk inside and handle his business. And when asked about this later on, Chase said he felt like it would be rude to break into someone's house that was locked. How is that the logic? Number 2, the ugliest fish in the world. Now, chances are everyone here has seen a picture of a blobfish. They're commonly known as the ugliest fish on Earth. But what if I told you that's not the case at all? This is what a blobfish actually looks like. You see, blobfishes are used to being very deep under the water where they've grown used to all of the pressures of the ocean. And the reason they look so ugly is because fishermen will rip them from the bottom of the ocean and take them up to the regular Earth. And this happening causes all of their muscles and their bones to just give out. But I'm curious to know, what's the scariest fact that you know? And I'm sorry for giving you all these facts. I know it can ruin your day, but...
Polite killer, that literally makes no sense. How could you be a polite killer? Like, you literally killed this. So he said, I'm not killing anyone unless their door is open. This is exactly why you need to lock your door, bro.
Anyone who may be triggered by these topics, or anyone who's faint of heart, please keep scrolling. Serial killers from every U.S. state, Part 1. Alabama. Jeremy Bryan Jones. Jeremy Bryan Jones was born in Miami, Oklahoma in 1973. According to his own confessions, he had already murdered 8 people by the time he turned 27. He'd also been charged with multiple counts of sexual assault and battery, and fled Oklahoma in an attempt to avoid jail time. Jones met a woman in Missouri and charmed her into giving him the social security number and personal information of her incarcerated son. Jones used this information to assume the alias of John Paul Chapman in December of 2000. He then moved to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, where he remained until moving to Georgia in 2003. In 2005, Jones was convicted by a Mobile, Alabama jury for the brutal murder of 44-year-old Lisa Nichols. Her body was found in the remains of her burned-out trailer in North Mobile County. Jones had sexually assaulted and murdered her before setting her body on fire in an attempt to cover up his crimes. Jones has confessed to 21 killings across 5 states over a span of 12 years. A reasonably handsome man, Jones used his good looks to lure his victims into a false sense of security, bragging once that he could, quote, charm the panties off of a nun. He sexually assaulted, tortured, and murdered women between the ages of 16 and 45. Since being caught, Jones has been on Alabama's death row, currently residing at the W.C. Holman Correctional Facility.
He said a 16-year-old of 40s? Bro, you're like 27. What? I don't know how she ended up giving this man her son's social security number. Bro took his identity and started going on a rampage. That's crazy.
These are scary things to do with your friends, part 2. This is a scary phone number called Susie, and it's 2020-2020. Once you dial this number, you will hear a female voice that sounds extremely creepy, and she will then be screaming, help me, Susie's dying. Sometimes when the woman is saying this, it could change into a very deep demonic tone, making it even more scary. And there are reports of the woman even threatening the caller, saying, help me, Susie is drowning. If you don't help me, I will kill you in your sleep. Is this woman a real person, and what happened to Susie? Some questions will never be answered, but if you and your friends want to get a little creeped out, just call this number.
I don't care how bored I am not calling that number. If you guys want to call it and let me know what happened down in the comments.
Disturbing things caught by drones. This 2012 drone footage was taken somewhere in an Ohio park and shows the apparently peaceful autumn landscape of the place. Despite the apparent calm, at around 5 minutes of the video, something weird can be spotted in the thickets. In fact, paying close attention to the left part of your screen, you should be able to see a mysterious creature stopping and looking up as the drone passes by.
Man, if I'm being honest, I just look like a tree. It just looked like a tree. I don't know. If you saw something, put it down in the comments.
What about the woman with the wooden leg? I think this is the story that you were talking about, but if it's not the story that you were talking about, please let me know so that I can try to find the story that you were talking about so I can tell it on here. Anywho, this story is called The Drum, and it goes like this. There were 2 sisters, Sandra and Dolores, and they lived a peaceful life with their mother and their baby brother, Arthur. They lived by a great woods, and Sandra and Dolores would oftentimes roam through the woods during the day to have something to do. Well, one day, Sandra and Dolores were roaming through the woods when they came upon the nearest campsite. They noticed that there was a young girl around their age of this campsite, so they figured that they would go over to her and try to become friends. They went over to the girl and saw that she was playing on a drum, but this wasn't like any drum. This was a very special drum. When the girl would beat on the drum, 2 little mechanical people would come out of the drum and start dancing around it. Sandra and Dolores had never seen anything like this before, and they knew that they needed that drum. They asked the girl, please can we have that drum? Please, please, please. The little girl said, I'll give it to you under one condition. You have to be really bad, and then you can come back tomorrow and I'll give you the drum. So Sandra and Dolores went home, and they were on their worst behavior. They started writing all over the walls with crayons, and when dinner time came, they spilled all of their food. The next day they went back to the campsite and saw the little girl, and they told her, we were so bad yesterday. We spilled all of our food and we wrote on the walls in crayons. Can we please have the drum? Then the little girl said, that's all you did? You need to be way worse than that. If you be worse tonight, you can come back tomorrow and I'll give you the drum. The girls went back home and they were even worse than before, and soon their mother started crying and saying that she couldn't deal with this anymore. She said she wanted her daughters back, and if they didn't change their behavior, she would have to leave. And she would be replaced with a different mother, a mother that had glass eyes and wooden tail. The next day, the 2 girls went back to the campsite, and the little girl with the drum told them that they need to be even worse. So Sandra and Dolores made their way back home, but when they got home, their mom wasn't there, and neither was their baby brother Arthur. The 2 girls thought they probably just went to the store, they'll be back soon. So they went and played in the woods and expected their mom and baby brother to be back home by the time they got home later that day. When they went back home later that day, the lights were on, and there was a fire in the fireplace. But there was one thing that was a little bit off. They looked through the windows and saw that their mother was in the house sweeping, only this wasn't their mother. This mother had glass eyes, and a wooden tail. And every time she moved to sweep a corner of the room, the girls could hear the wooden tail thumping on the floor.
Oh, that's crazy, bro. I don't know, man. Like, mom was like, I'm tired of these girls. I'm leaving. And then she got replaced. And just like that, the girls were like, oh no.
Legend or lie number 41, Crybaby Bridge. Let me start by saying there are many Crybaby Bridges in the US, but this one is in Salem, Ohio. It's right around Egypt Road, just in case you want to pay it a visit. Now let's begin. Legend has it a couple went to the bridge for a picnic with their young child. They got into a heated argument, and while they bickered, their child walked away. The couple was so caught up screaming at each other that they didn't even hear as their child fell off the bridge and into the water. Its cries for help unfortunately were never heard, and the child drowned. Another rumor that's somewhat similar surrounding the bridge is that a woman was disowned by her family after having a baby out of wedlock. Her and her child were starving to death living in the woods, and she just couldn't take it anymore. The baby just kept crying and crying, so she just lost it and threw the baby off the bridge and ignored its final cries as it drowned. Whichever you believe, the people who go to the bridge nowadays say that they can hear the child crying. They see a tall, dark figure stalking in the surrounding area after dark. This is supposedly the father looking for his lost child. However, it is also thought that cult rituals happen around Crybaby Bridge, so this shadowy figure could be something far more sinister. Is this spot in Ohio really a bridge to the supernatural? Or are all these stories just a cry for attention?
Damn, that story really shows how bad parents could be sometimes. These people were just focused on their argument. Their whole kid falls off. This mom got disowned, so she threw her baby off a bridge. That's insane, bro.
You get $20,000 if you finish this haunted house. This haunted house is called McCanny Manor, and it's located in Nashville, Tennessee. But this is the scariest haunted house in the entire world. Most haunted houses just give you thrills and chills, but this one you have to sign a 40-page waiver before you could even step foot in. And if you finish, you could get $20,000. And nobody has ever made it through. McCanny Manor will apparently shatter your psyche, force feed you stuff that you don't want to eat, and some examples are vomit. And they also confine you in small spaces with insects, like spiders, bees, and cockroaches. They also physically hurt you, and even drown you. Nobody has ever died here, luckily, but multiple people collapse from heart attacks and panic attacks. So if you want to win $20,000 and have a very good fear tolerance, then I recommend going to McCanny Manor.
Bro, that 40-page waiver, I'm not signing that. It's gonna be like, oh yeah, you can't sue us if you potentially die. I'm like, bro, I'm not letting you kill me. That's terrible. That's almost as bad as dying at a Travis Scott concert, honestly. Would you do that 20K challenge? Put it down in the comments. But thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like the video and check out the next video. Love you.